everyone, this is Alexa Donne, and today I have a very happy and positive Camp NaNoWriMo Book 2 drafting update. If you watched my last video, which had author panic in the title, you'll know that I am doing Camp NaNoWriMo in the month of July, and this is the first book that I have written on contract, the fourth book I've ever written, but the first time I'm trying to write an entire book, not only on deadline, but for someone else's approval and with their permission. I had to get my project concept approved by my editor at HMH Teen, and I am a pantser, so I don't write with an outline or with a guarantee that everything I work on is going to be amazing and the words will flow along nicely. I am happy to report that I had an amazing first week of Camp NaNoWriMo. I'm not saying that to brag. The word counts I put up weren't even that large or impressive. There are many people who hit way better word counts than I did, but that doesn't matter. It's not about how many words you put up or hitting impressive goals. It's about writing consistently every day and meeting whatever goal you've set for yourself. And this week I did that. I wrote every single day, making slow but steady progress on my draft. I've written about 5,000 words since last Saturday, mostly because I had an amazing July 4th and somehow wrote 2,000 words that day, but every other day I averaged about 500 words a day. That said, there were a few days when I didn't even get to 500 words, but I cut myself slack and I patted myself on the back for doing the work. A few days ago on Twitter, I talked about my word count goals and the slow and steady progress, and I'm going to link to that tweet thread below in the comments because I want to share with everyone that there are so many different ways to write a book, and if you're a slower writer, you're okay. I'm going to share with you how I've been keeping track of my progress so you can see exactly what I've done in the last week. I can't take credit for this idea. I got it from V.E. Schwab, who made an amazing video a few years ago about how she keeps track of her drafting and her word count goals, and I decided to try it this year. I got myself a passion planner. Every day I'm keeping track of my word count in my passion planner and literally awarding myself gold stars and green stars and blue stars and purple and pink stars when I hit my minimum daily word count goal. In this case, I get a star if I write at least 500 words, and a star for every 500 words that I write. On days when I don't write 500 words, it's not a big deal. I just write it down in the planner to keep track of it, and I try again the next day. Here's what it looks like so far. So I've got my month up on the top, and then each day I write in the words. You can see some of my stars. You can see that, this day I wrote 775 words. The next day I did 492, and I rounded up because I'm all about giving myself credit. And then on July 4th, I had my crazy 2,000 word day, so I got 4 pretty stars, and I also gave myself a very excited rabbit. I have some Japanese kawaii stickers that I like to use for special occasions. And then I had 2 steady days of approximately 500 a day. And then I want to point out yesterday, this was Friday the 7th, and I had a very busy day. I went to where SCBWI is being held in Los Angeles, and I spent a wonderful evening with some author friends. I didn't get back home until about 1:30 in the morning, and I had written about 36 words earlier in the day. But before I went to bed, I just pounded out another 200. I wrote a couple of sentences, nothing crazy, no pressure, and I wrote 309 words, and it wasn't quite enough to award myself a star, not as close as the 492 on the previous day, but I am really proud of myself for the words that I got in yesterday. So the star system in my passion planner is just a great way for me to visually see my progress. I can look at the week at a glance and see those stars twinkling back at me and know I have made steady progress. Hopefully by the end of the month, every single day is filled out with some kind of word count, maybe with a few days skipped, and I'll see a ton of stars staring back at me, and I'll feel a tangible sense of progress even if I'm not done with my book. And I won't be done with my book at the end of the month because I draft really long, and the most I've ever written in a single month was 53,000 words for NaNoWriMo 2015. That was when I completed the first giant chunk of Brightly Burning, but I'm not aiming for that this month. As I said in my last video, I'm aiming for 20K, and it's the first week, and I'm 1/4 of the way there, so I'm feeling really good. But even if I don't hit my word count goal, I am jazzed about my project. This last week went better than I could have possibly imagined. I had several brainwaves. I steadily wrote every day. I really enjoyed the scenes that I wrote. I decided to open with one of my all-time favorite tropes, if you can call it a trope, but parties. I really love writing party scenes. In fact, I highly recommend them if you are looking to write something where you can have character development, conflict, and pretty dresses. I find that they serve stories really well and are great for moving the plot along. And you can always go and edit them back out later in revisions if you're like, this random party scene isn't really working, but I like the character and conflict work in it. Incidentally, I just construct my plots so that parties make sense because I really like parties. Not attending them because I'm kind of a socially anxious introvert, but I like watching them in movies and TV and reading about them in books. I especially love dress porn. If you ever look at my Pinterest, it's just full of really pretty dresses, and about half of them do make their way into my draft. That's the other thing I did this week, which was really fun and helped me feel accomplished and pushed me along. I started a Pinterest board for this project, a secret Pinterest board, so you can't see it right now. But pinning fashion and some architecture and some character models was just fun. I did it for a couple of hours the first and second days that I was drafting, and I still managed to get in pretty good word counts those days. So the Pinteresting wasn't procrastination, it was actually part of the motivation to write. I did something really similar the other night. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen me tweet, rewatching Emma totally counts as working on my book, right? And I did. I rewatched the entire 4-hour Emma miniseries from 2009. It's a fantastic Jane Austen adaptation, and since I'm doing classic retellings in space, watching some of my favorite classics helps get me in the mood. And I still wrote about 569 words that night in between the episodes of the miniseries. So you can watch television or a movie or Pinterest, and it doesn't have to be procrastination. It can actually fuel your writing. So that is my week 1 Camp NaNoWriMo book 2 update. I also came up with a fun hashtag/nickname for my project. So I'm going to be calling this one #Space Angst, which is kind of all that I do. I take romantic, angsty classics that I love and I put them in space. I plan on torturing my characters really badly, and I hope at some point in the near future to reveal what this secret project is, which classic I am retelling. But for now, I'm keeping it kind of close to my vest because I'm still in the developmental stage, and while my editor okayed it in concept, she does want to look at a more firm proposal and some sample chapters before we definitively decide that this is the one. And since I'm a pantser, I'm not going to have a synopsis that's really presentable until I'm probably 10 to 20K into the project. So that's why for now it is #Space Angst. Thank you for watching, and let me know how you are doing with Camp NaNoWriMo if you're participating, or just if you're actively drafting, even if you're not doing Camp NaNoWriMo. And I hope the next time I make one of these update videos, I have good news for you. But even if I don't, I will talk about the ups and the downs and the real struggles of drafting a book on contract and on deadline. Happy drafting, everyone!